Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Forex Foley analysis. Today is April 14th, 2022. And I'm just going to be doing a weekly recap of last week's price action for US30, kind of what happened during last week, and the sentiment going into this week. So I'm going to be starting from the weekly time frame, breaking it down, then from the daily, 4-hour, etc. So let's start from the weekly here though. As you can see, last week, last week price tested this key level and support that it tested last year at this same time period of around April 12th. Yeah. So right around here, that's exactly where price tested last week, which was the lows of 34,175. That was the lows that clocked in. And again, that goes back to the key level I mentioned last markup of 34,200 and how key level and price sensitivity zone that is. Again, it's been almost held, US30's almost held above this price level for a full year now. And again, we saw reactions at the same time period last year. So it was pretty expected for price to react when it tested those levels last week. And now going to the daily, as you can see, the bottom here of 34,200 last week, where there was an order block and again price sensitivity zone here, but there was an order block around the start of the week here, April 11th, the start of the week here. And since the start of the week, we've kind of been ranging for this week between 34,200 and 34,600. And we've kind of been stuck in that range now for the past 2 weeks. But at least we've been able to respect above 34,200, especially with all the news the past 2 weeks. But yeah, overall for last week, there was not too much overall major price movement for equities. Again, we were stuck in that range between 34,200 and 34,600. On the commodity side, oil was a bit more bearish. So that brought some nice plays for US CAD. But again, that does relate to the stock market, as oil, gold, and US30 as a whole kind of, if gold is going up, US30 is going to go down. It's where investors and smart money are moving their money, and those are the three that they like to kind of play around with, right? And again, when we did start the week, we saw some price action come to the downside, and as price did come down to test more favorable buy demand zones again at this key level of 34,200, 34,300. And I'm just going to now zoom in so you can see more in depth on the hourly of how I'm talking about this key level here. So on the hourly here, you can see, right, 34,150 around there for this week that buys and orders were placed. And again, we've respected that demand zone. And yeah, that was just in my notes here. That was just, again, the weekly lows. I just need to emphasize on that level of 34,200, 34,300. And honestly, this week I was expecting if we did break below 34,300 for some sells, but no, we've been able to respect it, so that's very nice. And we did see a triple bottom again at 34,300. Again, this is just the 1 hour, but you can see. So again, that's basically been the main point for the past 2 weeks, is that we've been able to respect 34,200 and stay in that range. And again, we were calling buys above 34,300 and 34,600, which did play out this week. Not so much last week because we were stuck in that range. We did see an order block breakout though, for buys above 34,300 last week, thankfully, but again, staying in that range where we broke down below 34,600 when we did test that. And last week, Fed's interest rate with the 25 basis point hike, that was priced in last week and hasn't had much of an impact this week at all. And there was a majority of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt with the Russia and Ukraine tensions. That has been priced in. Anything that we've saw within the news, shout out to Capital Hungry with his newsroom. Anything with relating to Russia and Ukraine that I've saw hasn't had any impact on price. Where, towards the ending of January, beginning of February, US30 was going 100 points up and down just off anything related to Ukraine and Russia, right? So at least that's been priced in, and inflation is still running high. Again, consumer items and the economy as a whole have been rising, and honestly, this has been worldwide due to COVID and everything. Inflation has still been very rampant, and I think last week inflation clocked in at 8.5%. So it's just been steadily rising, which obviously isn't good as a whole. But that was kind of last week's recap. I don't think I missed too much there. Let's go just on the 4 hour to kind of recap again. This. Like last week, again, just right here, as you can see, this was kind of the range we were stuck in, where the bottom was at 34,200, between 34,600, and this week we've finally been able to break above. But that was last week's recap. I'm gonna have some more analysis on this week's price action and everything that's happened. But I appreciate everyone for listening. Thank you, and have a good one.